No matter how many traditions you take away from the Germans, they have one tradition, one obsession that is at the heart of all this, which is it's been a tough year for everybody. And in this video, I'm asking the question whether this year, this crisis year, has changed German society and German culture forever. Mahlzeit, Richie here again. I am of course talking about the coronavirus again. Sorry to end the year on such a down note, but I will try and keep it light-hearted. I do want to keep away from any real serious debate about whether the measures are correct or whether, you know, this virus is really worthy of lockdowns, etc, etc. I think I'm going to align myself with the 85% of the German population and say that what we're going through is tough, but it's probably necessary with the knowledge that we have. But it has of course come with some restrictions to our private life, to our leisure time in particular, some restrictions to work life obviously as well, but some really quite strict laws that I'm going to argue have really changed. They've really attacked almost like a holy trinity of holy grails, some real typical German things that are now actually banned. As I say, it's meant to be a little bit humorous, a little bit light-hearted, looking at some cliches, to be honest, about German society and German traditions. But also I do want to ask the question as to whether it has changed German society forever, permanently. Now, first of all, a big part of my leisure time, or it was a big part of this channel as well before we entered into lockdowns, and that's football. The favourite pastime of all Germans, watching football. It's banned. You can't go and see any football anymore. It started back in March when they started playing the first games behind closed doors, when we had the first more strict lockdown right at the beginning before pretty much relaxing in the summer, the spring, the summer later on. And since then we have been allowed, there was a relaxing, as I say, in the spring and the summer, and at the beginning of the football season we were allowed to go to, I think it was in total, it was 2 games that were opened up to the public. I went to the first one, Bochum's first game against St. Pauli, and there were like 4,000 spectators allowed into the stadium. It was a strange experience. There was a further game that I didn't attend. I think it was pretty much for all the clubs. It was 2 games, and then it was behind closed doors again, what's known as the Geisterspiele, ghost games, because ghostly, eerie atmosphere, I presume. No spectators in the ground. And obviously after that we were in lockdown again. The virus in autumn started to spread more quickly, and it was quite obvious that we really couldn't keep having thousands of people going to congregate in a stadium, no matter how good the safety measures were, the hygiene measures. I know football isn't everybody's cup of tea, but it's something we Brits and the Germans have in common. It's almost like a religion for large sections of society, and it's been banned. Who would have thought that would be possible in Germany? Banning watching football. Of course, you can still watch the games at home on TV if you want to give Sky loads and loads of money. I personally chose not to do so. It was tempting, but I don't really want to pay €30 to Sky every month to watch that. So we've got so far into a crisis that we've had to take away football from the Germans, and it can't get any worse, surely, Richie. Whatever next, Richie, I hear you cry. Well, it did get worse, and these 2 last measures, I really have to say, shocked me very much that they were introduced. I'm talking about 2 measures that were introduced in the last few days in December, and we have to ask ourselves, what does the German like to do if he's not watching football, or if he's banned from going to watch football? Of course, yes, he likes to get drunk, and in this inebriated state, he likes to try and blow himself up. I am, of course, talking about the very German tradition of, first of all, getting drunk on lots of alcohol, and in this inebriated state on New Year's Eve, handling highly dangerous explosives. I'm talking about fireworks, of course, and I was really shocked that in the last few days the sales of fireworks until the end of the year have been banned, and also the private use of fireworks out in public has also been banned. This really shocked me. Most of all, I have to say, this is something that I really welcome. Viewed from a totally egoistic point of view, as a dog owner, we have 2 dogs, of course, and one dog of ours, our bigger dog Daisy, she is absolutely terrified of any loud noises. And the period, especially living where we live in the kind of inner city area and a kind of rougher inner city area, the period, it really starts with late November each year. The kids start buying fireworks and letting them off. It's pretty much every night. You've heard it in one of my other videos. I was trying to record something here and fireworks started going off. It's a big relief for many pet owners around the whole country, I'm sure. And there's, of course, only one side of the picture. We welcome it, of course. We know we're not going to be facing what it's for animals. Basically, it sounds like they're living in a war zone and they're absolutely terrified. We can't get Daisy out of the house sometimes for days. We have to kind of force her out to actually go and do her business, groß und klein, which is very, very stressful. But I have to say, it's come as a bit of a shock. It really is kind of one of the holy trinity, really. Football, fireworks, number two. For Germans, it's kind of a sacred thing, and I know a lot of people enjoy it. Don't really want to get into the whole debate. I think, with sympathy for the people who make money off fireworks, this announcement has come probably too late. Lots of people will have invested in stock, waiting for a bumper year. It's obviously the big time, the biggest time for the market, where they'll be selling lots of fireworks, and now from one day to the other, just before the run up to Christmas, really only a couple of weeks before New Year's Eve. It's got to be tough, so I have some sympathy there, but I have to say I won't be missing it, not at all. It's probably also important to add that the health workers, nurses, doctors, people working in hospitals have also announced their support for the measure, saying that it's the worst part of the year anyway. They have lots of accident and emergency patients to deal with, and hopefully this will reduce some of the workload and, of course, leave us in a position where we can actually deal with the increasing COVID-19 cases. Now, at the same time as they announced that fireworks were going to be banned, the sales of fireworks, the use of fireworks, they did, of course, introduce a final measure that I'm going to argue is another one of this holy trinity, really sacred things for Germans, that I actually think is a reflection on German culture and society, which I really like, and it's the consumption of alcohol in public. That is also going to be banned, I imagine, with the idea of stopping people congregating on the streets. We are stopping people from the restrictions on how many households can get together over Christmas, who mingles, who mixes. We're stopping people going to retail, and of course the government wants to restrict how people congregate over the festive period out on the streets. So there will be no fireworks, there will be no people getting together to let's set off fireworks, and now drinking in public, which is probably the last option for people to do out in the open air, get together and drink on the street. And that's gone as well now, and it's actually one of the things I like, as I say, about German society. I know it's quite a stark contrast to the UK. I don't exactly know what the legislation says. I think in certain areas it's not allowed. You're not allowed to drink on the street. Obviously, it's in stark contrast to the USA, where pretty much everywhere you are not allowed to visibly consume alcohol on the street. You get those really strange images of people drinking bottles of beer in brown paper bags, which seems really bizarre to me. But anyway, I think Germany has a healthier attitude to alcohol, where it's frowned upon. Certainly people drinking in public is frowned upon. In the UK, it may even be banned. I'm not sure on what the law states. In Germany, it's kind of normal, and I think this kind of prudish attitude, this restrictive attitude in general in the UK, leads to our binge drinking. There's a very short window, obviously way back when we had really restrictive licensing hours and pubs shut at 11 o'clock. We had this really short window after work, go to the pub, get as drunk as you can, go home, fall over, eat a kebab, whatever. I think the readiness, the availability and the acceptance of alcohol in moderation, including consumption of alcohol in public, in parks, on the street, whatever, is kind of a healthy attitude that I think probably leads to less binge drinking. I think in general people in continental Europe, and I include Germany in that, of course, have a different attitude to alcohol. There's no real binge drinking culture. You're more likely to come across people drinking in moderation, and I think that's healthy. And that includes drinking on the street. And it's gone. We've got this holy trinity of German culture, the German society's culture, traditions, watching football, getting drunk together and trying to blow ourselves up, just letting off fireworks on New Year's Eve, and of course, more seriously, drinking on the street. Now, who would have thought that that was possible? I think it certainly, at least temporarily, really changed German society, really so markedly, beyond recognition. These, obviously I've picked some light-hearted ways of looking at things, but these are big traditions. It's a restriction on our life, on our everyday traditions, and it's a big change. But I'm going to draw on one last cliche, one last stereotype to flip it all around and argue that no, German society has not changed a bit. No matter how many traditions you take away from the Germans, they have one tradition, one obsession that is at the heart of all this, which is governing all of this, and it is the willingness to obey rules, to follow the rules. There's nothing more German, nothing more stereotypically German than following rules and obeying and doing what you're told. And the statistics say that 85% of the population are in favour of the measures, or even think that the measures don't go far enough. So what's more typical German than that, than accepting even the harshest attacks on our traditions? They took away our traditions. They took away drinking in the streets. They took away fireworks. They even took away our football. But we are good Germans because we are going to obey. We are going to behave ourselves and do as we're told. Of course, there is a serious message to all of this. Together we will get through this, and hopefully the coming year we'll see some kind of return to some kind of normality. I hope you are all keeping safe. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please do subscribe to the channel and leave me a like there. I'm going to set a modest like target of 300 likes for this video. Remember, if you want to take part in the Q&A, it's still not decided whether it's going to take part yet. You need to go over and watch this video first of all, leave a like there, and leave your question under that video in the comments section. As I say, we need 400 likes on that video before we go ahead with the Q&A, and it's really looking in the balance now. And also we need some questions, so go over and leave some questions over under that video. And maybe if we get those 400, we'll do the Q&A video as the last video before Christmas. This Thursday, it'll be released this Thursday. We'll record it on Wednesday and release it on Thursday, so it'll be there on Christmas Eve if you want to be watching me on Christmas Eve. Otherwise, I'm going to wish you a Merry Christmas, and thanks for watching. Macht's gut, Leute.